Silence is the blade you never draw, yet it wields more influence than 1,000 spoken words. Every conversation you enter is a battlefield. Each reaction is a potential breach in your defenses. The uncontrolled mind is your first adversary, and the predators of society, the critics, rivals, and opportunists, wait for you to speak first, exposing your strategies before you have secured your position. Every utterance is a soldier. Poorly commanded, they turn on you, fragmenting your authority. To maintain sovereignty, you must treat words as ammunition, deliberate and precise, striking only when impact outweighs exposure. Weak chatter surrenders initiative. The throne of your mind is vulnerable to those who move with patience and observation. Every public reaction, every hurried comment is an opening for opponents to gain leverage. Speak without strategy, and your credibility erodes like walls under siege, leaving nothing but the rubble of lost influence. Consider the silent predator. A wolf does not announce its attack. It observes, calculates, waits for the perfect alignment of vulnerability. Your presence paired with restraint becomes a living threat. Silence commands attention because it forces others into motion first. Your opponent reveals intentions, weaknesses, and hidden motives while you remain unexposed. In negotiations, by withholding immediate opinion, you gain the informational advantage, forcing concessions without overt confrontation. In meetings, when tension arises, a deliberate pause draws focus toward your measured judgment, and the room adjusts to your rhythm. The lesson is clear. Mastery of speech is mastery of power itself. Every noise carries cost. History demonstrates it repeatedly. Rulers who revealed strategy prematurely, generals who explained movements in advance, even thinkers who spoke without precision, found themselves undermined, betrayed, or outmaneuvered. Caesar's caution before crossing into Gaul was tactical. Frederick the Great exploited miscommunication to turn chaos into victory. Observing in silence allows you to act decisively, while speaking recklessly invites preemption. Your throne remains unassailable only when communication is disciplined, selective, and functional. Eliminate the impulse to respond for validation. Allow the storm of external opinion to pass without engagement. This is where sovereignty is established. Disagreement in the room illustrates the power of restraint. A colleague challenges your proposal aggressively. Weak, immediate rebuttal, emotional justification, strong, measured pause, recalibration, calm affirmation of principle. You maintain authority without escalation. The adversary exposes impatience. You command attention and respect. Authority is not enforced with volume, but with strategic silence that signals confidence and control. Command your words as you would a battalion. Do not deploy them recklessly. Observe, assess, and release only when it achieves maximum effect. Allow silence to cultivate respect. Let restraint signal mastery. Each interaction becomes a test of endurance, a demonstration of mental discipline, a claim to the throne you occupy. Let every observer understand that your presence alone carries consequences. Internalize this principle. Move through meetings, conversations, and social encounters as a quiet strategist. Each pause is a shield, each measured comment a sword. Do not speak to fill air. Speak to achieve dominance. Let others stumble in verbosity while you calculate, position, and act with precision. Your influence grows in the gaps between words. Patience becomes your ally, observing your armor and silencing your most formidable weapon. The battlefield of influence favors those who do not rush to speak. Strength resides in the pause, authority in measured response, and victory in restraint. Train yourself to listen, assess, and conserve your voice until it can deliver decisive impact. Let silence shape perception, command the environment, and protect your throne. Your mind becomes an empire. Your restraint, its fortification, your presence unassailable. Act decisively without announcing the strike. Observe, calculate, and maintain control at all times. Every word you withhold preserves power. Every silence projects sovereignty. Memorize this: restraint is victory, patience is armor, silence is power. Carry it into every encounter. Speak only to conquer, never to explain. Let every observer learn that authority is commanded without sound, and your throne remains unchallenged. I strike with silence, I command with stillness, I am untouchable. Your mind is a throne, unshakable and commanding, yet it is only as secure as the vigilance you enforce. Each thought is a soldier standing at attention, each emotion a potential traitor waiting for distraction to strike. Without discipline, internal chaos erodes sovereignty from within. With control, you wield influence before the world even registers your presence. Begin by guarding the gates. Train your awareness to detect intrusions, anxiety, doubt, impulsive urges before they breach your mental stronghold. Observe the subtle signs of creeping unrest, those whispers that tempt rash reactions or unconsidered words. Intercept them immediately, redirecting energy to deliberation and measured response. Every mental intruder you neutralize strengthens your fortress. Each unchecked distraction chips away at authority. Within this fortress, establish a council. Reason, instinct, and patience must act as your internal advisors, each voice disciplined yet heard. Reason plans with foresight, instinct signals threats, and patience measures the timing of action. When these elements operate in coordination, your throne becomes impregnable. If one advisor dominates unchecked, say impulsive instinct overriding reason, you risk collapse. Rash words, unguarded reactions, and mental fragmentation follow. A leader of mind must mediate these voices, ensuring harmony and alignment with strategic objectives. Every choice should reflect a balance between calculated initiative and silent observation. Silent sovereignty is the final manifestation of mental mastery. When your presence alone commands respect without a single utterance, power solidifies into unchallengeable influence. Historical precedent illustrates this principle. Rulers who exercised measured thought and disciplined speech were often able to manipulate outcomes without overt confrontation. By contrast, those who allowed emotions to dictate action exposed weakness and invited opportunists to seize advantage. In modern contexts, leaders in boardrooms or public platforms who maintain composure and withhold impulsive commentary often steer conversations and negotiations in their favor, leaving competitors reacting instead of acting. Practical steps: monitor your inner dialogue rigorously. Intervene when doubt, fear, or overexcitement arises. Engage your internal counsel deliberately. Pose questions, weigh outcomes, and simulate consequences before committing to action. Micro-example: a co-worker challenges your proposal aggressively. Weak, immediate rebuttal, defensive tone. Strong, silent acknowledgement, measured clarification, subtle affirmation of authority. Control the internal battlefield before responding externally. Let observation dictate timing, not impulse. Develop a routine of mental inspection. Allocate time daily to survey the landscape of thought and emotion. Identify vulnerabilities, reinforce strengths, and ensure alignment with long-term objectives. Each session of reflection is akin to drilling troops, ensuring readiness for strategic deployment when necessary. Allow no intruder, negative thought, unrestrained anger, or reactive impulse to breach your inner sanctum. Strength is cultivated in this vigilance. Power emerges from the ability to act decisively while appearing still. Embrace restraint as a tool. Guarding the gates and consulting your internal counsel is insufficient without the application of strategic silence. Words, like arrows, must be released only when precision is guaranteed. By withholding commentary, observing outcomes, and letting others commit errors first, you convert patience into dominance. Silence amplifies presence, compels respect, and positions you as a deliberate force rather than a reactive participant. Your throne is unassailable when every mental soldier is trained, every advisor disciplined, and every emotion contained. Authority radiates from calm mastery, influence is exerted before you speak, and opposition is neutralized before engagement. Let each interaction be an exercise in controlled projection. Listen, assess, calculate, and act only when decisive advantage aligns. Guard your mind as a general guards a fortress, unyielding and vigilant, leaving adversaries disoriented and reactive. Internalize this practice. Move through life as the sovereign of your internal empire, commanding thoughts and emotions with unwavering precision. Let awareness replace reflex, calculation replace impulse, and composure replace chaos. Your throne is not challenged because you do not present vulnerability. Power is evident in your self-command. Train your mind relentlessly, for mastery of thought precedes mastery of circumstance. I command my mind, I conquer my world, I am untouchable. Dawn arrives not as a moment of leisure, but as the first battlefield of your day. The early hours are the initial maneuver, the first strike in a campaign that determines momentum, positioning, and advantage. Approach them as a commander surveys the terrain before deploying troops. Every action, every thought, every gesture is a calculated move. First strike discipline is non-negotiable. The rituals you enact at daybreak, physical readiness, mental priming, and quiet reflection, establish rhythm, set pace, and create the initial advantage over the chaos that would seize control if you delay. Begin with precision, hydrate, move, focus, observe. Each act is a declaration of dominion over your internal and external battlefield, signaling control before others have opportunity to react. Preemptive silence magnifies this advantage. Enter the day unreactive, unannounced, letting your presence be felt in observation rather than proclamation. The world often rushes to speak, to react, to display power through noise. You will gain leverage by withholding commentary, by allowing your actions and disciplined posture to communicate authority. This strategic quiet forces opponents to guess, to miscalculate, and to reveal intentions prematurely. In boardrooms, emails, and digital platforms, those who respond immediately often concede ground. Those who withhold, observe, and calibrate strike with precision. Weak react to provocations immediately. Strong note, analyze, and execute once advantage is secured. Mapping the terrain is essential. Morning is the time to plan, to visualize objectives, to anticipate challenges, and to fortify the mind against distraction. Draw mental maps of tasks, potential obstacles, and interpersonal dynamics. Outline contingencies, prioritize the critical engagements, and ensure readiness for unpredictable developments. Leaders who invest in early preparation consistently outperform those who rely solely on reactive improvisation. By treating the first hours as a rehearsal for strategic execution, you convert stillness into dominance. Your mind becomes a fortified command center, capable of orchestrating complex operations without revealing weakness. Apply discipline methodically. Begin with a brief reflection on yesterday's victories and setbacks. Isolate patterns that led to success. Identify missteps that demanded reactionary energy. Rehearse silent strategies internally. How you will respond to dissent, how you will initiate conversations, how you will advance objectives. A micro example: a colleague questions a morning plan aggressively. Weak, immediate verbal defense, revealing tension. Strong, silent acknowledgement, controlled response after assessment, asserting authority through calm clarity rather than reaction. Fortify physical and mental posture simultaneously. Morning movement, deliberate breathing, and quiet meditation align body and mind. Treat each action as a tactical deployment. Focus attention, conserve energy, and ensure readiness for engagement. These early victories compound. Small discipline in the first hour propagates throughout the day, guiding decisions, shaping interactions, and projecting unassailable confidence. Control the narrative of your presence before the world dictates its interpretation. Let silence carry weight. Let timing dictate revelation. The early hours, conquered with awareness, strategic observation, and disciplined action, establish a cascade of dominance. By the time others are mobilized, your advantage is entrenched, your authority undisputed, and your decisions executed from a position of calm power. Internalize this strategy daily. Each dawn is a rehearsal for mastery, a deliberate maneuver in the ongoing campaign of life. Rise with purpose, act with intent, and observe with precision. Silence, discipline, and foresight are your allies. Chaos, haste, and reaction are the enemy. Win the first battle of the day, and the subsequent engagements will follow your command. I strike first, unseen, unstoppable. Silence is not absence. It is a weapon sharpened in restraint and deployed with precision. The stillness you cultivate functions like the pause of a predator. Each movement calculated, each moment of inaction deliberate. Observe before you act, measure before you respond. In human encounters, this patience forces others to reveal themselves, exposing intentions, insecurities, and overextensions. You are not retreating, you are consolidating power within a controlled sphere, where every signal is under your command. The world often rushes to fill gaps with noise, but your quiet becomes an instrument of dominance, a psychological edge that unsettles and intimidates. The pause of predators instructs your timing. Lions do not charge at every rustle in the grass. They wait until the opportunity is precise, the outcome maximized. Apply the same logic to negotiation, conversation, and observation. Let others speak. Let impulsive actions surface, then execute with accuracy. Weak, react immediately. Fill silence with words. Strong, remain composed. Absorb information, and respond when advantage is ensured. This measured restraint establishes authority without explicit assertion, signaling competence and forethought. Even in high-stakes discussions, allowing silence to guide timing often compels others to overcommit, revealing leverage you may claim without confrontation. Creating psychological space is essential. When you withhold commentary, you remove the comfort others expect. This absence of chatter forces them to occupy the gap, often unmasking weaknesses or hidden agendas. Leaders, executives, and tacticians alike use this technique instinctively. By saying less, they extract more information than any interrogation could provide. Your silence cultivates an environment where observation is power and overextension by others becomes self-evident. Plan your responses, consider the implications, and intervene only when conditions favor decisive influence. Strategic quiet is not passive, it is an active control over perception and momentum. History echoes this principle. Generals, rulers, and statesmen have often triumphed through deliberate inaction, choosing timing over reaction. Strategic silence allows maneuvers to unfold unseen, letting opponents expend energy on miscalculations or misinterpretations. This is visible in campaigns where the waiting force claims victory not by immediate attack, but by positioning, patience, and anticipation. In personal life and professional arenas, mimic this pattern. Refrain from impulsive reactions, delay commentary, Observe and act with deliberate intent. Discipline your mental battlefield. Stillness is your shield and your spear. Tactical application demands repetition. Begin each encounter by centering yourself, controlling breath, and noting intentions without immediate articulation. Monitor verbal and non-verbal cues. Identify where others expose vulnerability. Engage only when the moment guarantees strategic advantage, preserving energy, authority, and focus. A micro example: a colleague challenges a proposal aggressively. Weak, counter instantly, escalating tension. Strong, silent acknowledgement. Assess rationale, respond decisively when optimal, demonstrating mastery through calm dominance. Your power grows in proportion to your patience. Stillness becomes a visible influence. Your presence commands attention even without words. Leverage silence to dominate conversation, guide action, and dictate timing. Each day offers opportunities to practice this skill. Meetings, discussions, decision-making, and observation. Quiet does not imply inaction. It implies mastery over timing, perception, and intent. The world confesses secrets to those who wait. Internalize the law of strategic stillness. Observe without need to intervene. Wait without hesitation. Strike without preamble. Silence is your instrument, stillness your armor, and timing your decisive advantage. When you wield these correctly, opponents falter, allies align, and authority manifests without declaration. Power is quiet, and influence is unseen until it asserts itself. I dominate without a sound. Power thrives in focus. Distraction is the silent assassin of empires and ambitions alike. Your throne is not secured by idle chatter or unexamined alliances. To dominate, you must ruthlessly prune the mental and social landscape, eliminating influence that undermines clarity and authority. Observe quietly before action. The removal of false allies is not reactive. It is precise, calculated, and necessary. Notice those whose loyalty wavers or whose intentions conceal self-interest. Let the quiet reveal them. Their missteps become self-exposure. Once identified, distance decisively. Weak, tolerate their presence to avoid conflict. Strong, remove without hesitation, preserving your realm's integrity and focus. Cutting noise while retaining signal is an act of strategic mastery. Your attention is a scarce resource. Expend it only on what matters. Emails, meetings, social obligations, and mental clutter all dilute capacity. Ruthlessness in thought requires distinguishing between signal and noise, between enduring value and ephemeral distraction. Streamline priorities with uncompromising clarity. Delegate, defer, or discard what does not advance your objectives. Every decision to engage or abstain strengthens command over your environment. This deliberate minimalism amplifies effectiveness, ensuring every movement carries weight and every choice compounds influence. Historical precedent reinforces the necessity of selective elimination. Empires survived not by universal inclusion, but by quietly neutralizing threats within their ranks. Strategic inaction until the right moment allowed rulers to act decisively against disloyal factions. The lesson is clear. Distractions and traitors left unchecked erode power from within. In modern contexts, leaders who fail to address undermining behaviors lose cohesion, respect, and momentum. Observe patterns, identify repeated disruptions, and act with calm decisiveness. Your authority grows when you do not tolerate erosion of structure, standards, or purpose. Micro example: a trusted colleague consistently challenges your proposals, undermining team coherence. Weak, respond publicly, escalating tension. Strong, observe their motives, assess the disruption's scope, and reassign responsibilities quietly. The individual remains respected but neutralized in influence. Your throne remains intact, unchallenged. Let discipline and patience dictate the timing and method of removal, ensuring that action consolidates power rather than incites chaos. Engage in daily audits of your mental and social environment. Question the utility of relationships, routines, and commitments. Retain only elements that fortify your mission and vision. Silence amplifies these choices. It conceals judgment until execution, creating anticipation and uncertainty in observers. The quieter your discernment, the more potent your strategic actions. Dominance arises not from noise, but from control over what persists in your inner and outer domains. Internalize ruthless elimination as a principle of sovereignty. Act decisively, prune deliberately, focus relentlessly. Allow only clarity, loyalty, and purpose to occupy your mental and social terrain. Every unnecessary voice removed, every distraction excised, every weak link neutralized compounds strength, leaving your throne uncontested. This is not cruelty. It is disciplined authority and preservation of power. I command, I purge, I endure. Presence commands more than speech. A silent ruler wields authority without explanation. Enter every room with measured steps and unwavering posture. Your demeanor dictates attention. Your calmness becomes a weapon. Authority without voice establishes dominance before words are spoken. Eyes, posture, and timing communicate strategy, resolve, and control. Speak sparingly, if at all. Let your movements and decisions carry the weight of your throne. Weak, over-explain to prove competence. Strong, act decisively, letting silence underscore your mastery. The unreadable face is your shield. Calm observation prevents opponents from predicting your next move. Let your expressions remain neutral, your reactions measured, your intentions concealed. In negotiation or conflict, this mask fosters uncertainty in others, forcing them to reveal their hand first. By mastering expressionless observation, you command psychological leverage. A subtle raise of an eyebrow or pause of the hand can signal authority without verbal confirmation. Never betray surprise or hesitation. Every micro-expression is a tool in the war of perception. Historical lessons from monarchs illustrate the power of silent command. Kings and queens often dominated courts by controlling the narrative without speaking at length. They observed alliances, tracked loyalty, and executed strategy through presence rather than proclamations. Their influence rested on consistency, calmness, and the deliberate choice of when to speak. In modern contexts, leaders who cultivate presence maintain influence over meetings, teams, and public perception. Their silence is not absence, but a calculated projection of power. Micro-example: during a boardroom dispute, a colleague challenges your strategic plan. Weak, respond defensively, escalating tension. Strong, remain silent, maintain posture, and allow the challenge to unfold. The room observes your unshaken composure. Authority is reinforced, and dissent loses momentum. Your calm demeanor signals mastery, not submission. Pairing silence with presence requires intentional daily practice. Stand tall, speak with precision, and listen with intent. Observe patterns and reactions without immediate judgment. Retain only deliberate speech and purposeful movement. Silence becomes an amplifier of authority. Presence becomes the vessel of command. Master this balance, and others will defer instinctively. Internalize the mask of command. Let silence project confidence and presence dictate influence. Act with patience, conceal intention, and maintain unwavering composure. Authority is amplified when words are scarce, but impact is immense. Every glance, gesture, and pause strengthens your position. This mastery of demeanor secures respect, influence, and control without uttering unnecessary words. I move, I command, I endure. Patience is the blade of the unseen warrior. Timing determines victory. Develop the inner capacity to strike decisively without announcement or hesitation. Observe quietly, measure carefully, and wait for the exact moment when vulnerability emerges. Hesitation betrays intent. Premature action wastes leverage. Calculated patience transforms you into a predator whose silence conceals lethal precision. Every thought, every decision must be honed like a weapon, sharp enough to pierce opportunity at the right angle. Weak, act impulsively, wasting momentum. Strong, wait, assess, then execute with unerring accuracy. Mental precision is your unseen arsenal. Thoughts are sharpened into tools of influence. Words are deployed only when they achieve absolute effect. Speak rarely, and only when speech multiplies your advantage. In meetings, negotiations, or personal interactions, reserve commentary for maximum impact. Silence amplifies authority. Brevity converts insight into strategic dominance. Train your mind to anticipate reactions, identify weakness, and plan responses before they are tested. Your intellect becomes the edge that silent opponents cannot predict or counter. Control the narrative by mastering the timing of expression, letting thought lead action. Historical tactics prove the power of the invisible strike. Silent assassinations, both literal and strategic, have altered empires. Leaders who eliminated threats discreetly secured survival and expanded dominion. The annals of history record campaigns won not through force alone, but through precision, timing, and the ability to neutralize opposition without drawing attention. Modern strategy mirrors this principle. Decisive interventions, executed silently and deliberately, outperform noise and spectacle. Observing the battlefield, identifying weakness, and acting only when conditions are perfect ensures both efficiency and control. Micro-example: a colleague publicly challenges your strategic decision. Weak, respond with emotion, escalating conflict. Strong, maintain posture, record observation, and respond later with measured intervention. Authority remains intact. Dissent is neutralized without spectacle. The room perceives control, and your silent mastery enforces respect naturally. Embed the inner assassin into daily practice. Meditate on timing, visualize decisive action, and rehearse patience. Allow silence to cultivate awareness and sharpen perception. Let each thought be precise, each action deliberate, each opportunity seized without fanfare. Silence becomes armor, observation becomes intelligence, precision becomes inevitability. Your inner assassin is the convergence of mind, timing, and presence, capable of transforming hesitation into conquest and uncertainty into calculated advantage. I strike unseen, I prevail. Controlled energy is the deadliest force. Restraint transforms hunger into power. Channel your instincts into strategic action, not impulsive words. Like a wolf in the wilderness, observe silently, move deliberately, and strike only when advantage aligns with intent. Controlled ferocity ensures that when you act, the impact is absolute and undeniable. Every restraint sharpens the effect of release. Weak, explode without plan. Wasting potential. Strong, conserve energy, measure timing, release with precision. Silent hunting is the mastery of patience and perception. Track patterns, anticipate movements, and position yourself to exploit openings unseen. Every glance, gesture, and action communicates authority without sound. Your presence becomes a statement, your observation becomes intelligence. Engage only when conditions favor success, and retreat quietly when they do not. The calculated hunter dominates the landscape by aligning instinct with strategy, not emotion. Mental preparation enhances reaction time and effectiveness, converting patience into advantage. Weak, react emotionally and reveal intent. Strong, observe, calculate and act unseen. Animal wisdom offers timeless lessons in communication and presence. Wolves do not argue. They lead by example and action. Emulate this principle. Let deeds convey intent. Let performance establish authority. Let silence amplify perception. Presence alone signals capability. Words often diminish it. Leaders who harness this approach command respect naturally, forcing others to respond to their actions rather than their rhetoric. In negotiation, maintain posture and focus, and allow outcomes to unfold based on strategic execution rather than verbal insistence. Silent consistency cultivates fear, respect, and influence simultaneously. Micro-example: a team member challenges a strategic choice publicly. Weak, confront immediately, creating tension. Strong, remain composed, document insights, and respond later with decisive, calculated guidance. Authority remains intact. Conflict dissipates silently. Embed the wolf within daily practice. Meditate on restraint, visualize the hunt, and rehearse silent strikes. Convert restlessness into readiness, emotion into calculation, hunger into opportunity. Energy constrained is energy multiplied. Patience honed is power unbounded. The predator within is not unleashed through noise, but through measured action, relentless observation, and unwavering precision. Every act of control strengthens instinct. Every silent move sharpens authority. Every calculated strike advances dominance. I hunger silently. I strike decisively. Every interaction is a move on the chessboard of life. Silence is both your shield and your sword. Anticipate every opponent's gesture, every word unsaid, every intention masked beneath civility. Observing before acting allows you to claim initiative, to strike before others realize their position is compromised. The board is not static. It is a living battlefield where thought precedes action, and restraint often wins more than impulsive engagement. Position yourself strategically, measure every contribution, and let silence dictate the rhythm of control. Weak, speak first and reveal strategy. Strong, observe, calculate, and act with precision. Sacrifice is the currency of the strategic mind. Some words are pawns, expendable in the pursuit of greater advantage. Some are kings, capable of turning the tide when deployed at the correct moment. Recognize which elements of your communication can be risked and which must remain guarded. The wise practitioner trades minor concessions for lasting dominance, understanding that a well-timed silence often conveys more than 1,000 spoken arguments. Weak, disperse energy across trivial skirmishes. Strong, allocate effort to decisive positions, conserving power until the opportune moment. History demonstrates the potency of silent observation. Diplomats, generals, and sovereigns won empires not by speaking first, but by reading the unseen, perceiving threats before they manifested, and exploiting vulnerabilities with deliberate action. Machiavelli emphasized the advantage of foresight and preparation. Leaders who anticipate rather than react command respect and maintain control. Your personal chessboard mirrors these lessons. Every conversation, negotiation, and decision is a series of calculated moves. Engage only when your position is advantageous, withdraw when it is not, and remain patient as others reveal their intentions prematurely. Micro-example: a colleague challenges your proposal aggressively in a meeting. Weak, counter immediately, escalating tension. Strong, maintain composure. Note the argument. Respond later with a concise, strategic clarification. Authority remains intact, influence grows, and conflict is minimized without public confrontation. Internalize this mindset. Visualize the board, rehearse potential scenarios, and sharpen your anticipation of others' moves. Silence becomes the most versatile tool, guarding your strategy while exposing opportunities. Speak deliberately, act decisively, and sacrifice selectively. Each restraint strengthens your position. Each observation sharpens your foresight. Each calculated move advances dominance across the board of life. Master this, and you control both perception and outcome. I move unseen. I strike strategically. Discipline is forged in silence, repeated until it becomes instinct. The throne is earned through control of the self. Each day enforce the ritual of restraint. Speak only when it serves strategy, act only when the timing strengthens your position, and let observation replace reaction. Power accumulates not in volume, but in the weight of unbroken self-command. The mind, like a well-armored fortress, must withstand assaults without faltering. Weak, react to every provocation. Strong, observe, absorb, and respond with deliberate authority. Treat every encounter as a test of endurance. Endure provocations without yielding to impulse. Each moment of calm builds resilience that others cannot perceive but instinctively respect. The throne is not a seat but a state of mental fortitude. The armor of restraint protects against erosion of influence. Your presence communicates authority more than words ever could. Silence becomes your shield, patience your weapon, and consistency the forge in which your will is hardened. Weak, yield to emotion and lose stature. Strong, maintain composure, assert presence, command silently. Daily repetition is essential. Ritualize the practice of silent control, embedding it into thought, action, and interaction. The more consistent the enforcement, the less energy is wasted on reactive impulses. Studies indicate a strong correlation between self-discipline and influence, wealth and respect. Real-world evidence that control over oneself translates to control over circumstance. Let this empirical truth guide your exercises. Silence is not passivity, but a deliberate tool of authority. Observe, calculate, restrain, and release power only when conditions favor impact. Micro-example. A peer attempts to provoke you into debate during a meeting. Weak, counter immediately and escalate conflict. Strong, remain composed, allow the remark to pass, respond later with concise, measured clarification. Influence is preserved, respect is maintained, and the unseen observer notes your command of self. Condition the mind through repetition. Each day, reaffirm control over speech and action. Endure discomfort without concession. Observe without reacting. The throne is claimed not by force but by habitual mastery. Build the mental armor that withstands distraction, temptation, and challenge. Silent, steadfast, unyielding. Your will becomes untouchable, and authority flows from your presence rather than your words. I rule myself. I command all. Command resides not in volume, but in presence. The throne is held by those who master silence. Speak sparingly, move deliberately, and let perception do the work that words cannot. Each gesture, glance, and pause conveys authority. Power becomes invisible, unchallenged, and enduring. Weak, rush to explain or justify. Strong, observe, calculate, remain unmoved, and allow the world to bend to your quiet command. Presence alone is the ultimate weapon. When others sense unshakable calm, they respond before you act. Your silence communicates strategy, your composure signals invincibility. Weak, react to every disturbance. Strong, maintain poise, assert dominion without uttering a syllable. The throne is not a seat, but a state of mind. Each interaction becomes a test of restraint, each response deliberate and measured. Your authority spreads silently, leaving no trace of effort, but a palpable effect on those around you. Build your invisible empire through consistent, disciplined action. Influence does not require announcement. Leaders throughout history who mastered quiet, diplomats, generals, monarchs, exercised power by observation, timing, and subtle command. Their presence alone dictated outcomes. Their legacies endured precisely because they acted without unnecessary noise. In your own sphere, replicate this method. Plan thoroughly, act decisively, and let the perception of control ripple outward. Weak, seek approval or recognition. Strong, cultivate impact unseen yet undeniable. Micro-example: during a tense negotiation, a colleague attempts to provoke a defensive response. Weak, retort immediately and escalate tension. Strong, remain composed, acknowledge the remark internally, respond later with precision and authority. The outcome favors influence, respect, and sustained control without confrontation. Integrate all prior laws, enforce daily rituals of silence, anticipate moves, endure provocations, and calibrate timing. Each act of restraint strengthens your unassailable presence. Let the throne of your mind become your visible dominion, impervious to challenge. Words are tools, not crutches. Silence is your armor, patience your weapon, and perception your battlefield. Be constant, be deliberate, and let influence flow invisibly through your mastery. I am seen, yet untouchable. Command is forged not in noise, but in unseen mastery. The silent throne is claimed by those who control mind, body, and perception. Each law of strategic silence converges here. The morning discipline sharpens awareness, stillness builds unshakable composure, ruthlessness enforces boundaries, presence communicates authority, instinct guides timing, strategy dictates movement, ritual anchors discipline, and untouchability renders action unnecessary. Weak, respond immediately to provocation. Strong, observe, calculate, endure, and let the environment yield before a single word is spoken. Visualize the throne as a fortress, your mind the command center, your presence the sentinels, patrolling every perimeter. Internal victories manifest externally. Hesitation disappears in your steadiness. Competitors stumble not because you strike first, but because your calm signals invincibility. Weak assert dominance with volume. Strong radiate control, and the battlefield itself becomes your ally. Each encounter is a maneuver, each silence a feint, each pause a declaration of unassailable authority. Let your actions be precise, purposeful, and entirely deliberate, for perception solidifies what words cannot. Presence as power dictates influence without assertion. A glance can redirect attention, a measured step can disarm hostility. Invisible empires are built upon such subtleties. Influence spreads like currents beneath still water, untraceable yet irresistible. Historical examples abound. Emperors who spoke little but commanded much. Generals whose calm presence shaped battles before swords were drawn. Philosophers whose ideas dominated eras without noise or spectacle. Study them, not to imitate, but to internalize the principle. The throne of influence is held by restraint and silent calculation, not constant demonstration. Micro-example: during a tense boardroom negotiation, a colleague attempts to provoke an overreaction to sway decisions. Weak, argue or react emotionally. Strong, maintain composed posture, acknowledge internally, and counteract later with precision. Outcome favors authority, clarity, and unbroken presence. This is the essence of strategic silence. Victory achieved before action is even necessary. Integrate ritual with perception. Morning discipline primes your mind. Stillness fortifies composure. Ruthlessness enforces limits, and presence ensures authority. Instinct guides subtle moves, strategy coordinates all actions, ritual cements habits, and untouchability safeguards sovereignty. Daily enforcement is mandatory. Repetition transforms conscious control into instinctive command. Weak, rely on sporadic effort. Strong, embed mastery into every thought, every gesture, every decision. Your throne exists both in mind and in the perception of others. The two are inseparable, and each reinforces the other. Let your influence spread silently, shaping outcomes without overt effort. Your empire is invisible yet tangible. Your presence dominates yet remains unobtrusive. The battlefield bows to preparation. The throne is never questioned because it is never in doubt. Every internal triumph translates outward. Every act of restraint compounds into authority. Endure provocations, act with calculated precision, and cultivate a presence that renders opposition futile before they can even move. I am silent, yet sovereign. Every move you make is a message. Every silence is a weapon. Your throne is not held by words, but by presence, calculation, and unbroken discipline. Each day, enforce the laws of strategic silence, as if life itself depended on your mastery. Observe before speaking. Measure before acting. Let your rituals anchor focus, your instinct guide timing, and your composure project invincibility. Weak, react immediately to every provocation. Strong, absorb, calculate, and act with precision when advantage is absolute. Your mind is the command center of a battlefield unseen, where strategy dictates the flow of influence. Internal victories manifest externally. Opponents falter because your stillness signals sovereignty. Daily enforcement requires vigilance. Apply the principles consciously in every decision, every conversation, every observation. Let your presence communicate authority without a single word. Weak, dominate through volume. Strong, dominate through restraint. Every pause, every glance, every measured step extends influence silently yet unmistakably. Consider historical masters who ruled through perception, who conquered through discipline, and who shaped worlds while their lips remained sealed. Their legacy endures because action without noise magnifies power. Learn from them without imitation. Embed mastery into habit, ritual, and thought. Let instinct refine decisions, let strategy sequence them, let ritual cement them. Silence becomes not absence, but force. Presence becomes not display, but command. Weak, expend energy proving worth. Strong, conserve energy, strike only when outcome is inevitable. Micro example, a colleague challenges your proposal with veiled hostility. Weak, respond defensively. Strong, remain composed, acknowledge internally, and redirect the focus later with precise clarity. The outcome favors authority and clarity. The unspoken mastery signals control beyond argument. Consistent self-command guarantees respect and freedom. Influence expands without effort. Power is projected without force. Each day, integrate observation, restraint, and purposeful action. Treat silence as a tool, ritual as reinforcement, and presence as the messenger of inevitability. Internalize the mantra. Every decision, every motion, every glance is deliberate. Enforce mastery in thought. Enforce mastery in action. Enforce mastery in presence. Legacy is built not through noise, but through consistency. Your sovereignty extends through every choice and every encounter. You require no audience to validate your command. The battlefield, the boardroom, and the world itself acknowledge authority silently. Maintain composure. Project strength. Command without declaration. I speak only to strike.